I want to welcome everybody to the first ever IndeVets podcast. My name is Andrew Heller. I'm here with my co-worker, my co-host, Marisa Brunetti. We are with a company called IndeVets, and most of you out there are probably listening to this as IndeVets. But if you're not, we want to welcome you too. I thought we'd start out just by telling you a little bit about our company, who we are, so that you can understand where we're coming from. IndeVets is a team. We are a team of associate veterinarians, and we've set out to professionalize relief staffing, and in many cases, even semi-permanent staffing for veterinary practices. We're made up currently of about 80 veterinarians. We are currently helping almost 700 veterinary practices out there. We are located mainly on the East Coast at this point. The states included are New York, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, the District of Columbia, and recently we added Florida, Georgia, and coming soon to Massachusetts. And, eventually we'll be making our way across the country to all of the states, hopefully, right, Marisa?
Hopefully. And where in Massachusetts, you say?
In the Boston market.
Excellent.
Good chicken, I hear.
Yeah. I was going to make that joke, but then I was like, does everyone get that?
So let me introduce myself. Again, I'm Andrew Heller. I'm a veterinarian. I'm also the Chief Growth Officer at IndeVets. I specialize in general practice. I did do an internship, which set me off in the right direction. I learned a little bit about emergency medicine, all the major specialties, and I did pursue a general practice career. I've been with IndeVets since day one, actually day -1. So I consider myself IndeVet number one.
The co-founder.
We're here in Philadelphia, but like I said, we're all over the East Coast now. Philadelphia is not where I'm from. I'm actually originally from Europe, born in London, raised in California in the San Francisco Bay Area, went to college out in the Midwest, moved to New York City, and then I went to vet school down in the Caribbean at Ross, which was amazing, before I came here to Penn and then did my internship around here as well and stayed. What about you, Marisa? Introduce yourself.
Thanks, Andrew. My colleague, my officer friend. My name is Dr. Marisa Brunetti. I am originally from outside Philadelphia, so I've only left Pennsylvania for a few years, one time to go to Syracuse University for undergrad, where I studied journalism and public relations before strangely heading to vet school at the University of Pennsylvania. So I did get to come home to West Philly, which I love. And I went directly into private general practice after my vet schooling. And I've worked in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. I've worked in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania as a general practitioner. I've also done shelter work and high volume spay neuter. And most recently, before I joined IndeVets, I worked as a regional medical director for a cool new up and coming corporation called Thrive, Affordable Pet Care. And they are awesomely our partners now. So we still get to be a part of that. And then I moved back from Texas, and that's when I found out what Michael and Andrew were doing, this really cool company called IndeVets. And I joined, 6 months after you started, and I've been there ever since.
I don't know if it was that long.
I know, it doesn't feel like that long. Well, technically, you started in November of 2017.
True.
And so it's been 3 years, and I started in June of 2018.
Yeah.
So I've been here 2.5 years, and I am now currently the chief medical officer, and I still do practice usually about once a week in our different partner hospitals just to keep my hand in things and see what's going on out there. So really excited to do this podcast with Andrew. We used to have a podcast daily.
That's true. We just didn't record it.
Yeah, we just didn't record it, but our desks were back to back in our office, and now with COVID, we haven't been able to hang out with each other all day. And so this is not only a way, I guess I can really just launch into what's this podcast? You know, why are we doing this? And I think, so from my perspective, a couple of things. One, we should have been recording all of our conversations since day one. We've seen a lot. We've done a lot. We know veterinarians really well. We know the industry really well in general practice. And we have a lot of conversations. And so we think that vets would really benefit from what we're talking about. And we hope to actually have a few different audiences. Obviously, my job is to take care of our veterinarians. And so veterinary medicine and clinical perspectives are really important to me, but also, work-life balance, that unicorn that we talk about all the time, as well as mental well-being is really important to me as well.
Yeah.
And I think also our partner hospitals, we have great relationships with them, and we've learned a lot from them. And so I think a lot of people can benefit from the different topics that we're going to talk about. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you again for that intro. And it's true. Like you're working out there, every week, and I sort of live vicariously through you in that way.
Come back.
I know I'm going to be going back to clinical medicine soon. So actually this is a really great way for me to keep learning about what's out there, what's going on. You might see some of the topics we talk about on this podcast as things that I'm just nervous about or anxious about and that I want to learn better. We have such an amazing group of doctors out there, and I hope that we can use them as a source of information for this. I look up to them in a lot of ways. I think that we hire really well. We hire really great doctors, and I'm really proud of them. Genuinely grateful, one of our core values. Mm-hmm. So hopefully this is just a chance for me to learn, spread some basic knowledge as well. There's hopefully, if I'm wondering about something, or if you're wondering about a particular topic, others are too.
Yeah, and I think what's really cool is our team, though we don't work together in the same hospital, we consider all of our vets associate vets because they are our employees and they work full or part-time for us. And we also use Teams, which I know a lot of you out there are using Teams or Zoom or Google Hang, and we're all used to being virtual. But what's really great about our team is that they'll bring up clinical issues. We have a whole clinical channel, right? And so they'll bring up things where I'm like, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
How would you educate an owner about this, or what would you have done in this case? And I think what we'd like to do on some of these podcasts is have some of our doctors on to talk about cases that they've had. Definitely. And how they ended up, or how they worked them up, or what they learned from them. So I think we're definitely pulling a lot of clinical stuff from our doctors as well.
Yeah, and with 80 doctors, there are bound to be mistakes made here and there, and I think we can all learn from each other's mistakes without having to make them ourselves. And I think this might be actually a good venue and a good avenue to spread that to our team.
Yeah.
And just like, hey guys, like this issue came up, let's talk about this. Maybe let's do a podcast on this particular issue and see if everybody can learn from that, learn from each other's mistakes. I think that's one powerful thing about IndeVets is that we're not all alone. We're not solo relief doctors. We're all part of this amazing company.
What's been really great, I've been a vet for 10 years. I don't think we even said, how long we've been vets, but right. I've been a vet for 10 years, and I've seen a lot of change, not only in the veterinary community, but the community at large to be vulnerable, because it is so powerful. And I think you talking about mistakes we've made is really important, because vets tend to be perfectionists, or they tend to be extremely hard on themselves. And I think that's one of the reasons, if we don't talk about it and we're in our own heads about it, and that's where the decreased mental well-being comes in. And so I'm really, really good at talking about all the things I've messed up.
Well, the one thing is there's so many veterinary podcasts out there now. Like, I didn't realize it, and I started looking into it. I'm like, whoa, there's so many people doing these podcasts. And it's so funny because like they all come from a very like specialized point of view. And I think, what we're doing here is we're trying to be like the everyday, like pragmatic veterinarian's voice, right? And like, I think we can talk about things that we're all dealing with on a daily basis, not just like these high-end, in the sky academic,
the ivory tower, which we stuff. Love you, ivory tower. Totally. We really do.
I mean, we want to keep this fun, right?
Yeah, but most vets are general practitioners. And I think we've always thrown that idea out there that like, there's no general practice internship. There's no association of general practice. Maybe there is, actually. We should look into that.
Before we start saying things.
Actually, we should
Fact check.
We should make that. If there's no association of general small animal practitioners, we should totally start that organization.
I mean, we're 80 doctors in. I think we can get it going.
Yeah. So yeah, I think being vulnerable about veterinary medicine and talking to people who have had issues, whether that's with clients or whether that's with medical mistakes or whether that's with their own work-life balance or their struggles, I think is really important. I want to normalize talking about mental health therapy. Mm-hmm. I've been in therapy. I think it has helped me as a veterinarian. And I know we've gotten off topic a little bit, but we have so many goals for this podcast.
Right.
And I think there's so many different things that we could talk about that really aren't clinical, though we will cover clinical things.
Yeah.
There's just so much out there. I mean, we write a blog too, and I can't keep up with the journals and the webinars and the blogs. There's so much info. So it's like, let's just be real?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Maybe you should
keep it real.
Keep it real, Marisa. Keep it real.
Yeah, I mean, I like certain clinical topics, things that I wrote down, that I think we can certainly talk about. You mentioned burnout and mental health. I think that's a huge thing. I was thinking, we've been talking about this for a long time, but like a morbidity rounds,
totally.
Like where we talk about a mistake that somebody made and talk about how to avoid that. I know we've kind of alluded to that. New meds on the horizon, right? Vet hacks, like cool tricks and tips for doctors. And even like job related stuff, right? For people that aren't an IndeVet, like just ways to broaden your horizons, to find a unique way of working. Maybe being an associate at one particular practice isn't for you. And, and there's industry, obviously there's relief work, there's joining groups like ours. And we can talk a lot about that in the future, maybe interview some of our own team and see what their journey was. And I think people would find that interesting. Yeah.
Or if you do want to be an associate, how do you find a good practice? Like, what are the questions that you should ask, and what are the things that you should do to figure out if this practice is right for you? Because we all know that there are practices out there that look great when you're interviewing, but they turn out not to be great. So I think that's really important. We've worked in
so many.
How many practices? How many partner hospitals do we have? We
have almost 700.
Yeah. We have a wealth of knowledge about what's going on in general practice today, whether it's private or corporate medicine. So I think those are all great things. Obviously, clinical topics that we talk about, vet hacks. I love that. Yep. We have a lot of doctors on our team that have great experience. And so we'll be bringing you some tips and tricks from them. Also controversial topics like, what do you do with an asymptomatic Lyme positive dog versus, what do you test for annually?
Yeah.
And we've seen a lot of different issues with that. So,
and I think we have a lot of info to talk about there because we ask a lot of these questions in our interview process. And so we hear people's answers, like what are they doing? And I think we have a pretty good sense. I mean, we're not like keeping tabs. We're not writing a report on it or anything, but I think we know in general.
I am.
I mean, we do have it to compile. We have all the data.
That's true. Also, my dog's head is on Andrew's lap right now. I think she's being like an emotional support dog for you right now.
She is. She licked my leg. It's like cold and wet now.
Ew, sorry. She's starved for attention. That's not me or my brother. So, but yes, thank you. We are recording this podcast from my house.
Yeah,
and we Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. Right. Although Andrew only lives 15 minutes from me, so we're still fairly close. But our doctors are all over the place, and I'm glad that we can speak directly to them.
Thanks for joining us here today. Please subscribe to our podcast anywhere podcasts are found. And if you have any questions or feedback that you would like to give us, please just email me, Andrew@IndeVets.com.
And again, if you need any more information about IndeVets, please visit our website at www.indevets.com and follow us on Instagram and Facebook.